Well, well, well. I've been browsing around YouTube all day, all night, and I must admit, I'm getting worn down. The amount of idiocy that I've encountered after the event this past Sunday is starting to mount up, man. And the crazy thing is that I was supposed to go live this morning for the Monday chop session, but then I canceled that because of all the conversations and BS that I was going through behind the scenes after Sunday. Then I put that off and I was like, you know what? I'm going to get back to boxing, man. And, I got my notepad right here, my trusty Divine Sense boxing notepad here. And I was about to let you guys know what's good with the Joshua Usyk fight. But I come on here, man, and I see people dropping videos. And although most people don't think very much about the fight itself between Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley, they're leaving out very important details, and that is this whole boxing versus MMA thing. It's becoming disgraceful at this point. We can sit up here all day long and talk about, oh, well, it was rigged and Jake Paul, he was always going to win no matter what. And it's all about money. It's all about show. I'm tired of hearing about any of that, man. I'm tired of it. Let's get to the root of the problem here. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. This is a situation where a wannabe boxer, and I say wannabe because he hasn't fought any boxers, is fighting dudes that are not boxers. So I'm not one to come up here, number one, straight out of the gate. I'm not one to come on here and say, I don't like this dude and the fact that he's trying to make his money, knock someone's hustle. I was never a fan of Mayweather doing the whole going to Japan, fighting some kickboxer and fighting McGregor. I wasn't a fan of that, but he's getting paid. He's taking care of his family. It is what it is. I don't lose sleep at night. The fact that he's making money, jealousy is the root of all evil at the end of the day. But what I will say, if you're sitting here and expecting me to clap my hands and jump up for joy that a boxer is fighting a dude who is not a boxer, you better stay in your lane because you don't play boxing. So what I'm going to do now is something simple before I feel the flame rising. I feel the flame rising within me. I'm telling you. So before I let it get to that high level, I'm going to do everyone a favor here. We're going to chop it up a little bit. We're going to do a little film study. So I want people to understand exactly where I'm coming from here. This isn't about me trying to knock Woodley. This isn't really me necessarily trying to knock Jake Paul, even though the dude irritates me beyond belief. This is about boxing versus MMA and why you don't do it. Especially at this level and robbing people's money, man. If you got a boy that does MMA and you got another dude that does boxing, you want to go in the backyard and see who can knock the other person out first, be my guest. But the fact that they're trying to sell the idea that it's a cool thing, it's an okay thing. They're fighters. It doesn't matter if they're a boxer or MMA. Like, anything can happen in a boxing ring. That they're trying to sell that. But since when has the two sports been combined? Except for the past, what? Basically, since the architect, Floyd Mayweather Jr., started this whole situation of putting boxers and MMA fighters together. Now you see a trend. Now everybody's starting to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do everybody a favor here. And we're going to go through and look at the fight, okay, between Jake Paul and Woodley. And we're going to look at some very interesting and very important details on why you don't do this. Put all the business, the money, YouTube channels making videos about it and getting upset. Put all of that to the side. We're going to look right at the root of the problem on why you don't make a boxing match between a wannabe boxer and an MMA fighter, which even makes it worse. You know, at least Floyd Mayweather is an actual boxer. But still, the root of the problem is the same. So before I do that, quick little roll call here, man. I know you guys are already starting to blow up the chat. I appreciate you. I know a lot of channels have been busy all day, all night talking about this topic. And I promise everybody, I promise all of my subscribers, I know a lot of you want me to get back to boxing. I got Joshua Usyk on deck. I got Canelo Plant on deck. I got more stuff to talk about when it comes to Wilder and Fury. I got a lot to talk about. So I promise you, this is the last time I'm talking about this, man. Jake Paul and this whole boxing versus MMA topic, because I've been talking about it for years. Before, it was just a conversation. 10 years ago, it was a conversation. Now it's reality. Now we're living in the matrix of boxers and MMA fighters fighting each other, and in this case, a wannabe boxer. Shout out to Terry Smoot Jr., Felix Garza, Stormy B. Man, Tichoa, SM, Nitty G, a lot of official members in the channel here tonight. I appreciate you. Wheelchair Magnon. Good to see you. And if I missed anybody else, I appreciate you guys stopping by. GK Black, just jumping in. I appreciate you. So what we're going to do, as I said, is look at this fight real quick. And I'm going to point out, and I'm going to share with you, and I'm going to explain for all the people in the back, especially those peeking through the blinds, as Stormy B likes to say, peeking through the blinds in the bushes. I'm going to do it for you so you understand. And all the people who will come to this video once it's uploaded, which it always happens. It always happens. They like to come in afterwards, because they don't have the balls to come in here and comment live. Because, I got my wrenches lined up. You know what I mean? They see the wrenches up in here. And I see you guys on YouTube all the time. All of you MMA supporters and Woodley supporters. Like, the thing is, man, is I don't have anything against MMA. I don't have anything against it. I've trained with Muay Thai fighters. I've trained with MMA fighters in the corner to work with conditioning and strength and help sharpen boxing skills. And I appreciate and respect what they do. But at the end of the day, you're coming to Divine Sense Reborn / boxing. This is a boxing channel. Boxing is my passion. So if you're going to come over here and expect me to somehow clap my hands and dance for Tyron Woodley for almost knocking out Jake Paul, you came to the wrong place. You want me to give the MMA fighter credit. I'm not giving either of these dudes credit, like straight up and down. Either of them. Jake Paul, no respect because he's a wannabe boxer who refuses to fight a boxer. And Woodley, he let the fight go. He let Jake Paul off the hook. So we're going to get into this. This is just a highlight video. Okay, this is going to be a highlight video. And I'm just going to show you guys, right, the major differences and why you don't do it between a boxer and an MMA fighter, the styles, and what is glaring to me. For those of you who don't know, I live streamed the entire fight. When it was live, I was here commentating. You know, I couldn't show the fight, obviously, because copyright, but I was commentating. And I was sitting right here pulling my hair out because of the distinct differences between the two styles that a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people are just like, oh, man, Woodley's not letting his hands go. Oh, Woodley needs to stop him. Yeah, that part's frustrating, obviously, but there's a reason why he doesn't or he can't. And I'm going to point that out. So let's get to it. Antoine in the chat. What's good? Shoot in the chat. Shoot says, take note. He was wearing pink. I saw that. I saw nobody comment on that either. My man Shoot got the courage to point that out. I saw that from the drop. But you know, I was trying to focus on the fight. So let's get into this, man. I'm going to point out some very interesting things. Big Dog Willie was good. Soon as you guys come in, man, hit that like button. You guys know the drill, man. Smash that like button. Get those likes up. I'm doing this. Number one, to let off some steam. Number two, for all the people out there who think this is a good idea and this is cool, this is fun. You know, can an MMA fighter finally reach the pinnacle and knock out a wannabe boxer? You know, I'm doing it for all you people. And I'm doing it for my subscribers because, you know, they appreciate my knowledge of the sport and they come in here and show love, you know, and all that stuff. So, you know, make sure you hit that like button and drop a super chat to just show some love, man, to the frustration that I have to go through on a daily basis. Let's do this. All right, let me blow this up. Rewind it a little bit. All right, let's go. So first off, Woodley comes out. He throws like a right hand or whatever, goes flying across the ring like he's about to do some judo or some shit. He about to do some Roman Greco. I mean, I don't think anybody expected that. I was watching it live, and he jumped out like that, and he threw the right hand. I was like, oh, okay, he's jumped right on him, right straight out the gate. Okay, here we go. And then he's doing some weird like judo stance, and then he stayed in that stance and kept that distance basically for 3 rounds. For 3 rounds, that's what he did. Not doing shit. But let's keep it moving. And you know, man, I'm about to get lit. So first off, look at this, man. Round one. I want you guys to notice this here. All right. So Jake Paul throws a jab. Somebody in the chat, I want to see if anybody can point this out before I say it. What's glaring to you? What stands out to you as Jake Paul throws his jab? Never mind Woodley. Woodley, you know, he's parrying the jab with his right hand. That's fine. But they're both making 2 very glaring mistakes here. They both are. So I want to see if anybody just this. The fight just started. This is the problem. This is the problem when you have a wannabe boxer against an MMA fighter. So first thing to note is Woodley maintains an extreme amount of distance through the entire fight. And that is the definition of, of what an MMA fighter does in an MMA fight, right? They have to maintain distance because it is programmed in their brain after years and years and years of doing mixed martial arts, where they have to be aware of kicks and takedowns, right? You can't just unprogram that shit in a 8-week camp or whatever it was before, I don't know, 2 months, 3 months, it don't matter. Years. It takes years to reprogram. And I've worked, as I said, with MMA fighters, in particular Muay Thai fighters, right? It is very frustrating. Very frustrating when they come out, when they reach out to you and say, hey, can you help me with my boxing? I need to get better with my hands. I feel like my defense is weak. If you guys go, just watch an MMA fight. Sorry, a Muay Thai fight. Don't watch MMA. Just watch a Muay Thai fight. These guys fight in lines. They have zero head movement whatsoever. Everything they do is a high guard, right? And so they don't have head movement, period. Because the most powerful weapon in a Muay Thai fight is kicks. They ain't worried about the hands because a lot of them don't have hands anyway. So that's one thing I wanted to point out. But it's very frustrating when you try to reprogram a Muay Thai fighter, for example, to how to pivot. They don't pivot in Muay Thai at all. Very, very, very rarely you might get some anomaly that is a little bit slick. You know what I mean? You see it in MMA a little bit more than Muay Thai because it's mixed martial arts. They have many different backgrounds. But even wrestlers, wide stance, wide base, because they have to prepare for takedowns. So here we go. We got Jake Paul. Any boxer will know from watching this right here, this simple little jab, is that you can easily counter. You see how Woodley is parrying the jab, right? You parry, and you can either counter with your own jab because he's stepping. Look at where his head is compared to his hips. Look at Jake Paul. Look at where his head is compared to his hips. Look how much he's reaching in with the jab while his right hand has dropped down to his chest. He thinks he's Muhammad Ali or something. He thinks he's Larry Holmes or something. So any boxer will tell you when you see that. Now, this is early. Okay. I don't want to criticize Woodley too much yet. But I do want to point out that a boxer only has to see this once, maybe twice, and they're going to make Jake Paul pay for reaching like this. You counter with your own jab or you counter with your own left hook. It doesn't matter if he's following up with the right hand or not. Because once you parry, you're already pushing out your own left hand. So either you land before he lands or the arms get tangled up and nobody lands. But Woodley was content with just, staying back and trying to use his gloves to block everything. But that's right off the bat something that's glaring to me. And Woodley, with his left hand down, who obviously doesn't know how to counter with his own jab or left hook, and Jake Paul could have easily came over the top and one-two'd his ass. He could have had a two-piece on that ass. But that's what you get when you have a wannabe boxer. Moving on. I mean, look at this. Look at it. Look at this. Notice how he's backing up. Somebody help me. Somebody help me. Somebody help me with this. Please. How on this green earth did Woodley not check left hook this ass and roll out? Look, I mean, I'll say it again. I'm gonna say I'm gonna say it again. Look at where his head is compared to where his hips are. Look how much he leans in. Now, again, I don't want to criticize Woodley too much because he's not a boxer, number one. Number two, it's the first round. He's feeling it out. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But what about your trainers in the corner? What about them when you come and sit on the stool after the first round? They're watching the fight. They're seeing what Jake Paul's doing. So what do you tell Woodley after the first round? After you see what you see here? If I'm in the corner, I say, hey, every time he jumps forward or lunges, I don't care if it's left hand or right hand, check left hook his ass. You just keep left hooking him. Every time he comes in, check left hook. That's it. Check left hook every time. Roll out. And then eventually, you can follow that up with the right hand. But, people, I can't make this stuff up, man. I really can't. I really can't. And look at this. Look at where his right hand is. And that's what I'm saying. Woodley doesn't have the boxing IQ and experience to jump all over a man who's standing straight up. Jake Paul is standing straight up with his right hand down by his hips. And you telling me you can't jump in with the two-piece? How is Jake Paul supposed to back up when he's standing like that? How is he supposed to defend when he's standing like that? And you're telling me that you can't jump in and just throw a two-piece. People, this is Boxing 101, and this is exactly why I wanted to make this live stream. I want to make it perfectly clear why this is a joke and why you don't make boxing versus MMA. And as I said, I don't want to be too critical to Woodley. Unfortunately, he's a victim to my ranting here. You know what I mean? But I'm sorry. This is a boxing channel, man. And people thought this was a good fight. People out here getting upset because it was a split decision or whatever. I mean, Wheelchair Mangyon says, Divine, as someone who participated in boxing, your head must have exploded watching this. I straight up was pulling my hair out. There's a couple people in here right now that were, they joined me when I went live during the fight. And I just screaming, man. I was screaming on the mic. Literally screaming at the mic at Woodley. Like, I'm trying to say, okay, he's not a boxer. He's not a boxer. He's not a boxer. He's not a boxer. I had to continue to tell myself that, repeat that shit in my head. But this is some amateur stuff right here. Like, you see 12-year-olds doing the gym. Like, I'm not even joking. 12-year-olds would know. Your opponent stands in front of you like this. He's reaching in. His chin is in Woodley's face right now. That's where Jake Paul's chin is at. Shout out to Deanna. Good to see you in the chat. Steven, what's good, man? Thanks for dropping by. Terry Smoot says, who literally is coaching him. Amateurs know better than to put themselves in that face forward with their weight in front of their waist. I mean, people, do I care necessarily about the whole event? And, it irritates me because it's not a boxing match. And I don't like to put my energy into something that's not a boxing match. But am I upset about it? No. It is what it is, man. This is the world we live in now. They're out there trying to make events. People out there trying to make money. People get bored of the old. They want to bring in new concepts. is fine. Like what I can live with that. But what I can't live with, man, is them trying to sell that. They're just trying to sell this idea of a wannabe boxer and an MMA fighter, and supposedly they're trying to sell the idea that this was going to be a good fight. And I knew from the get-go, this is why I never talked about the fight. I never talked about it. Subscribers, a few subscribers kept hitting me up, blowing me up on Twitter and IG, and asking me to make a prediction, hit me up, sending me emails about this fight. And I didn't do it until basically the day before the fight because, this is what I knew was going to happen, man. I don't even need to watch any of Woodley's fights while he was in MMA. I don't need to see any of them. I already know what's up. And this guy, could you imagine if Jake Paul stood in front of Canelo like this? Could you imagine if he stood in front of Tank Davis like this? I mean, think about it this way. Anderson Silva beat Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., right? But I tell you right now, as much as I can't stand Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., he would beat the brakes off Jake Paul. He would beat the brakes off Jake Paul. Anderson Silva is what I just mentioned earlier, is an anomaly in the world of MMA. He is, just cut from that cloth, man. He can do anything. And he's always been a renowned pure striker his whole career. He just happened to be so athletically gifted that he can wrestle and do jiu-jitsu and everything else as well and throw kicks. But you can see, if you watch the Anderson Silva Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. fight, you can see that Silva has basic boxing ability. You can tell that he's sparred before. You can tell that he's put work in a boxing gym before. Woodley, he's been an MMA fighter his entire life. Then he puts on a pair of boxing gloves and tries to train for it for 2 months. And they're able to sell it because he's not going up against a boxer. He's going up against Jake Paul. Let me go ahead and continue, man. G Funky, man, let's good. Look, G Funky, look at the position that Jake Paul's in right now. Legs parallel to each other, leaning over his body, chin all out. A boxer would check, left hook that ass, and that'd be good night. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Jimmy 007 says, bro, he's a 3-fight novice with no real boxing amateur career or background. Nothing wrong with these celebrity fights because these type of events have always been around. Lies. All lies, what you just said. First off, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, Jimmy, because I think you're new to the channel. I appreciate you stopping by, but I'm going to have to check you. At the end of the day, this is the kingdom and the realm of divine sense boxing. Hence, I said boxing. So let me just tell you something. I have no problem with a celebrity like Jake Paul, who has 10 million subscribers on YouTube and whatever he has on Instagram. He's a celebrity and he wants to be a boxer. I have zero issue with that. Zero. And maybe one fight just to get his feet wet a little bit against a celebrity or, whatever. The Nate Robinson is a joke. That's not a good example, but, somebody with who's a celebrity, like what Logan Paul did. He fought that KSI guy. That's fine. You're two YouTubers. They want to be boxers. They fight each other. People like that stuff. Fine, right? It's no different than two dudes that live across the street go into a backyard and have a boxing match. The only difference is that Logan Paul and KSI were celebrities. But that's how I view it, right? So I have no problem with Jake Paul saying, hey, I'm going to get my feet wet a little bit and fight a fellow YouTuber. You know, we make a match happen. And then once that fight is done, if you win or whatever, or even if you lose, if you want to continue, you got to do it the right way. Either you go on the path of amateur career, or if you want to jump straight into the professional ranks. He was 21 at the time when he started boxing, Jimmy. He was 21. Deontay Wilder was 21 when he went pro. Did Deontay Wilder start, with all of his God-gifted power, start knocking out MMA fighters? No, he did it the right way. So I'm not giving Jake Paul no pass for beating Nate Robinson, who's a basketball player. I'm not giving him a pass for Ben Askren, who was retired, coming back from hip surgery, who was never a striker, ever. So you can miss me with that. If he would have, like I said, had a little get my feet wet celebrity match, and then he's like, yeah, I like this. This is what I want to do now. I want to be a boxer. And he started fighting guys who were 0-0 or 0-1 or 1-1, just starting their professional career just like him. Or if he wants to go and just fight amateurs, but they're boxers, I would have given him full credit. We wouldn't be having this conversation right now, Jimmy. And if this was his fourth fight and he was fighting a guy who's actually a boxer or an amateur or some type of boxing background, my tone would be much different. So I'm sick of this. Oh, come on, man. He's new to boxing. He ain't 40 years old, number one. He's a young man. He started at 21. He's 24 now. And he's out there bullshitting around, Jimmy. He's bullshitting around, and he's making a mockery out of the sport that I love, which is boxing. I don't know if you're a diehard boxing fan, but I am, and a lot of people in this chat are. Shout out to Big Dog Willie Man at the Super Chat. Paul looked like a constipated middle linebacker. Oh, man. See, I knew that eventually somebody would drop in here and try to defend this man, but that's fine because I have no problem educating people real quick. And, I don't blame Jimmy. Maybe he left already. I don't blame Jimmy necessarily because this is the mainstream media. This is what they're putting out there. Oh, cool little Jake Paul. He was a YouTuber. Now he's a boxer. The kid's got power. I mean, you even got somebody like Joe Rogan, for example, who I usually respect. I watch a lot of his podcasts and stuff like that. But you even got Joe Rogan out here saying, oh, the kid's got power. And, he's building up Jake Paul. And I'm like, that's fine. He might have, he may be gifted with athletic ability and power. But he's not fighting boxers. He's not fighting boxers. You're not a boxer until you fight a boxer. You don't even earn. You don't even have you literally get zero credit for any of the professional fights that you've had. I don't care if they were sanctioned. I don't care if it was in a boxing ring. You didn't fight boxers. Period. I mean, it shouldn't even be a debate. He should be 4-0 in celebrity boxing events. But he sure as hell shouldn't have a 4-0 professional boxing record. That's a travesty. Cass, what's good, man? Good to see you in the chat. Deanna says they roasting that punk kid Divine Retribution. I was lit up last night, but I'm good now. They roasting him bad. And Dave Chappelle gonna go in, bro. Facts. Stormy B says he ain't going nowhere. Well, he's welcome to stay. Jimmy, you're welcome to stay. But like I said, you come to the kingdom of divine sense. Okay. Okay, Jimmy. Let me take a sip of my coffee first before I read this. Woodley Askren had over 20 years of world-class athletic, Olympic, and martial arts training and experience. Those guys were still professional athletes and championship-level fighters. It's not bad. Oh, boy. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. Please, by the power of Zeus Almighty, give me patience and strength. I'm trying to be nice, Jimmy. Jimmy, here's the thing. Let me ask you a question. So you're saying that because you used a martial arts training and experience, professional athlete, world-class athlete. I will say this. Are MMA fighters should MMA fighters be classified as fighters? Yes. Should boxers be classified as fighters? Yes. Both fighters. Two completely different disciplines. So let me reverse the question to you, Jimmy. Would you be okay if Floyd Mayweather, for example, I don't know who your favorite fighter is. Let's just use Floyd Mayweather as an example. If Floyd Mayweather went into the octagon against Conor McGregor and got his leg broke, or got his eye busted from an elbow, or got choke slammed, or nearly got his arm broke because of an arm bar, or, was a victim to a rear naked choke and got choked out and embarrassed. Would you be okay with that? Would you be okay with that? Serious question. See, when the roles are reversed, it's always different. Boxers, for the most part, except a few guys that ventured off into the octagon who were obviously way past their prime, trying something new, trying to get paid. But most boxers stay far away from the octagon. You know why? Because they know it's different. They understand that it's different. They understand that they've been training boxing. So why am I going to try and take 2 months and try to learn takedown defense? Why am I going to try to take 2 months and learn how to kick someone? You can't. The answer to that question is you can't. Because you're going up against, as you said, a world-class martial artist. All that boxing skill you bring to the table don't mean shit. It's MMA fighters who think that they can go into the sport of boxing because, as you said, they're a martial artist with 20 years of experience. So they should be okay. They have a chance. They have a chance to be successful. Do you know what that tells me, Jimmy? That tells me that the world doesn't have respect for boxing. That the MMA world is somehow much more dangerous and much more lethal. But anybody and their brother and sister, John Doe down the street, can venture off into a boxing ring and have a professional boxing match, and people are okay with that. Well, I'm sorry. I take an offense to that. And the only reason why Jake Paul isn't knocked out is because he didn't face a real boxer. That is fact. I don't care how you cut it, slice it. I don't care that Woodley can bench press 250 pounds. I don't care that Woodley's been wrestling and doing MMA for 20 years. I'm pointing out right now in this film study on why MMA fighters cannot compete in boxing. Yeah, his strength and his stamina and his conditioning and his experience being an MMA fighter helped him survive for 8 rounds, helped him kind of have a chance, but he couldn't even knock out Jake Paul, who has only 3 fights, who's never fought a boxer before. This is a guy with 20 years of experience, bro. This is what you just said. The man got 20 years of experience, but he can't even fight a non-boxer with only 3 fights who's never fought a boxer before. What do you think would happen to Tyron Woodley if he matched up against a true cruiserweight? Or a true, probably light heavyweight. My apologies. What do you think would happen to Woodley if he matched up against a true light heavyweight boxer? Oh, but it's okay. It's okay to match him up against Jake Paul. Because Woodley's not really a boxer, so we got to give him a chance and match him up against Jake Paul. I'm going to continue on with this, man, before I snap. If you guys want me to read something specifically, you want to highlight something, man, send me a super chat because this shit just get me lit. I'm going to move on. So what I want you guys to take notice to now is how Woodley always goes backwards, right? Look, jab goes back, right? Going back and forward in line in a lineal movement. That's what MMA fighters do. That puts you at a huge disadvantage when you're in a boxing ring. They teach you that as a kid. Don't go backwards when your opponent is attacking you, because you are basically absorbing their momentum. They're coming forward, you're going backwards. You're going to end up in the turnbuckle or in the ropes, and you're going to be in a whole world of pain. So that's why in boxing, you teach pivoting, you teach sliding, gliding, using counter punches like a counter left hook, a check left hook, jabs, and move and pivot and out of danger. That's why we teach what we teach. Woodley's defense was literally high guard the whole night. Never moved his head, never tried to slip a punch and land and counter land something. He's strong enough lower body wise where he could have stayed low. He could have stayed low in a peekaboo style, right? Go to the body, go to the head. He knew Jake Paul didn't have enough power to hurt him by the second round. So what are you worried about? The fact is he couldn't do it because he doesn't know how to do it. Who's this? Jake Paul is the best. Jake Paul is bringing a lot of new fans and hype to the sport of boxing. Without him, I wouldn't even watch boxing. Well, you, sir, or who knows, miss, you're lost. And I pity you. I hope you rediscover yourself. Look, Wrench is in the channel, man. People want to write dumb shit like this. That's fine. That's fine, but stand by, because I have a feeling it's gonna start getting worse here in a minute. TS says, you're right, Divine. Boxing is a joke in the world's eyes. Like Ubek Sr. said, boxing is a mug's game. Facts. Jimmy goes on to say, bro, I like your channel. I just think it's unwarranted heat. It's 2 decades of athletic martial arts training experience versus a kid who spent most of his life doing prank videos on YouTube or on Disney. Well, look, man, you obviously don't get what I'm saying. I don't know what else to say. I can't keep beating a dead horse. I can't. Black Soul 1906 says, if Tyron had more experience throwing boxing punches and combinations, he would have rolled Jake up. Jake has average boxing technique, but it takes more than one training camp to develop good skills. Exactly. And, for sure, like, He's working. You know, I do believe that Tyron, sorry. I believe he took it seriously. I believe that he was boxing and, he's working with Mayweather a little bit. He probably has some decent people in his corner. But look, when the fight starts, you're going to go back to what muscle memory dictates that you should do. I mean, that's just reality, man. And you can argue that Jake Paul, like real talk, Jake Paul might have more hours in the boxing ring or training for boxing than Woodley does. That might even be possible. Because MMA fighters, yeah, they work on their hands a little bit, you know what I mean? But maybe 30 minutes. They hit the mitts and stuff. But the majority of their work is MMA. That is the bulk of their training. So it's possible that Jake Paul has even more training hours in actual boxing than Woodley does. And like I said, the only reason why Woodley's able to even stand up in there and do what he did is because he is athletically gifted, he is experienced, and he's strong and he's got a chin. He showed that. But that's it. But Woodley also let Jake Paul off the hook when he had him hurt and he didn't finish him. And that is a lack of experience in boxing. Every boxer knows that when you hurt your opponent, you jump all over him like white on rice and you finish him. Deanna says, "Okay, Jimmy, just stop." And y'all with this respect, this punk chump kid. I appreciate the super chat. That's why I highlighted it. It gets frustrating. Stormy Beam says, "Boxing never put off tomorrow. You can banish today." Yeah, I respect that. Definitely. If boxing stepped up its game and gave us fans all the big fights we wanted, would guys like the Pauls try to sneak into boxing? Boxing has become the whore of the sports world. Well, look, Jimmy, I feel like you're an MMA fan, which is fine. You probably saw the title of the live stream. You saw me put a picture up, the thumbnail, whatever. You come across as an MMA fan, which is fine. But I have to tell you, man, as much as myself and most people in this chat right now who are diehard boxing fans will be the first ones to admit that boxing as a whole makes a lot of mistakes. And you're right. We don't get to see the fights that we want to see. There are a lot of politics and ugly black spots and dark clouds in the sport of boxing. However, you're barking up the wrong tree, bro. You're barking up the wrong tree if you think that somehow you're going to come here. I don't know how other channels do shit, but for me, you're going to come here and try to change my mind to somehow then revert from boxing to MMA. At the end of the day, boxing was here way before me, and it's going to be here long after I'm gone. Boxing will never die, and that's facts. Jake Paul is becoming the face of boxing. This guy's a troll. That guy's a troll. Woodley appeared not to be used to larger gloves. He was shaking out his arms. They were fatigued by the third round. I don't know about that. I guess it's possible. But for me, it's much deeper than that, man. It's much, much deeper than that. Let's continue on to this study, man. There we go. Notice how Woodley has this really super high guard. This is an MMA defense right here. See how high his elbow is? So for Jake Paul, right? You got two opportunities here. You got a left hook that he can check out of, or he can go right hand straight to the body, right? But, Jake Paul is not, he's a wannabe boxer. So it's fine. It's okay. Goes, and, this is another thing I want to point out with MMA fighters as well. They never attack the body with punches. I mean, they'll throw shots at the body, but they don't know how to attack the body properly. Like, they don't know how to put their body behind body punches. And there's a reason for that. Body punches in MMA, for the most part, are I wouldn't say frowned upon, but they're not really encouraged because it puts you in a lot of danger. You got to get close to throw a body shot, unless you got some abnormal long ass arms. Like, Nate Diaz, for example, in the world of MMA, is probably the most decent boxer if I had to pick one out of the hat. And he's got super long, ridiculous long arms. He doesn't throw with a lot of power, but he's just so damn lanky. He just lands stuff all the time, and he can go to the body decently. But most MMA fighters, they don't dare to throw a body shot. Number one, they don't know how to do it properly because they don't practice it, because it's abandoned for the most part. And number two, they don't want to put themselves at risk. You try to step in and throw a body shot, you get a knee to the face, or you get an elbow to the top of your head. You know what I mean? So as much as I'm screaming at Woodley to throw body punches, I mean, he's not going to do it because he's not accustomed to do it. And when he does throw a body shot, they're not effective because he doesn't do it properly. The man, Jake Paul, was gassed out by the third round because he's throwing bombs at Woodley. He's putting all of his power, because he believed in himself. He thought he was gonna finish Woodley soon and quick, because that's what he was doing before. He didn't respect Woodley. I mean, he did to an extent, but he's gassed himself up, and the people around him have gassed him up. The media has gassed him up. And he probably thought he was going to knock him out within the first 3 rounds and realized, oh, Woodley's pretty tough, and he couldn't do it. And he was gassed out because he was throwing nothing but power shots and missing a lot, which is remarkable because it's not like Woodley had elusive defense. It's just that Jake Paul is so inaccurate with his punches, is why he misses all the time, and he doesn't know how to set up punches properly. But I just wanted to throw that out there. If Woodley was able to put some water in the basement and go to the body effectively, this fight would have been over in 5 rounds. It would have been over. But he couldn't do it because he can't. He doesn't know how to. His Woodley's inside game is just pretty much non-existent. So once again, I'm pointing out that you can't MMA and boxing, man, you just can't do it, man. You just can't do it. Like, literally, you're a shorter fighter, you're more stout, Woodley's probably stronger than Jake Paul. He's probably stronger than him. Lower body, upper body. He's built that way. He's built strong, and he doesn't know how to fight on the inside at all. And I hate to bash Woodley like this, man, because he went in there and I guess he tried his best, and whatever, but it's just infuriating that, number one, this event is created, which is the whole topic of tonight, is the whole boxing MMA topic. And then the fact that, for me, as someone that loves the sport and has been a part of the sport of boxing, and I just see so many openings, you know what I mean? It's just astounding on the amount of openings that Woodley had to finish this dude. And he either didn't want to, couldn't, didn't know how to. I don't know. But it's just so glaring and so tiring and frustrating. You know, you can watch it. It's easy to sit back, right? You know, as a spectator, rather you know the sport or you don't know the sport, and sit here and nitpick a boxing match. Oh, he should have done this. He should have done that. This is what we do, right? We analyze, we critique, we break down fights, right? But never like this. Never so many blemishes and blatant openings. I've never seen something like this where it's just so blatantly clear. But look how close Jake Paul is to Woodley here. And once again, Woodley with the super high guard, not protecting his body. Jake Paul's left hand down by his knee. Down by his knee. Down by his knee. You're telling me that a boxer wouldn't time that with the right uppercut? Imagine if Woodley threw a right uppercut right at this moment. Imagine if Tank Davis throws an uppercut at this moment. Imagine if Canelo throws an uppercut, who, to be fair, Canelo is one of the best uppercut boxers in the game. Imagine if Canelo throws an uppercut. This is a right uppercut just waiting to land. And Woodley just doesn't have the boxing expertise to be able to land it. He's just trying to, defend. I mean, he follows up with the left hook, but if he would have threw a right uppercut, it would have been too late. It would have been too late. So Woodley starts to move a little bit laterally as the fight goes on. He I don't know if it was his corner was telling him, but he did slide. I mean, now he's going backwards again. But when he was tracking, he was starting to move a little bit laterally, a little bit better. But it's just hard to change on the fly like that. I mean, your corner can preach all they want. If you don't have the ability to do it. And the crazy thing is, I think one thing that we can all agree on is that the myth of Jake Paul having this abundant power is pretty much laid to rest at this point. When he fights somebody similar to his weight class, right, and who is athletic, right, who is fit and strong, his power is average now. And in this fight, in my opinion, is below average for a cruiserweight or light heavyweight, whatever the hell he is, 180, 185. So he's below average now because Woodley wasn't rocked one time. I mean, he got hit flush with some left hooks and right hands, and he didn't look wobbled or hurt not one time. So what do you think a real light heavyweight is going to do to you, Jake Paul? And Jake Paul is so gassed, man. Just so tired. Ah, God. So that was that hit. That was that right hand over the top. Let me pause it just there for a second. See if I can blow this up a little bit more. All right. So this is probably Woodley's best punch the entire night, obviously, because he almost knocked his ass out. But what's beautiful about it is he goes over the top of Jake Paul's jab, which was open all night, the pull counter. And he goes over it beautifully. And it looks like he hit him, I believe, like on the ear, which is, it's an equilibrium shot. Now, what's crazy here is Jake Paul's falling down. He's literally falling down. So imagine if that punch landed about 2 or 3 feet behind where Woodley's standing at right now currently. Imagine that. He would have went straight down to the canvas. But he falls. Look how far back he is on the ropes. So, I don't know if Stormy B-Man's still in the chat. According to the rules of boxing, that's a knockdown, is it not? Being held up by the ropes. This is literally the definition of being held up by the ropes, especially the middle rope. And the referee is right there. Look at where the referee is, y'all. He's in the perfect position to see it. It's not like he's standing behind Woodley. He's in a good position. But I'm just saying, like, if this was a couple feet backwards, Jake Paul would have ended up on the canvas. Now, he probably would have got up from it. I don't think it was a knockout shot, but it was definitely a knockdown shot from a non-boxer. What do you think a boxer will do to Jake Paul? Seriously. Look at this. The dude is literally laying on the middle rope. He like ricocheted off the middle rope. The middle rope like basically bounced him back into the ring. And it's too bad that, and see, this is where I got really upset. So I was watching it live, and of course he landed that shot, and I thought, I was like, oh, he's down, right? But he bounces off the ropes, and he's in survival mode now. Jake Paul's in survival mode. He's tired. He's hurt. He's got 52 seconds left, which is a long-ass time after you just basically been knocked down. And Woodley lets him off the hook. Woodley lets him off the hook, which a boxer would never do. A boxer would be all over this man. And look, he's tracking, he's showboating. I mean, what's the point of that? Showboating. And Jake Paul's just recovering. Now we're at 44 seconds. Woodley just gave Jake Paul 8 free seconds. 8 free seconds so far. Throws a left hook that misses, and just tracks and wrestles. Tries to throw it right there, but he's already recovered. He's recovered enough by then. Woodley just never goes to the body, man. It's like such a pet peeve. Nice uppercut. So I scored Woodley the 4th and 5th round for sure. He dominated those 2 rounds. And it's almost like the knockout is right. It's just right there. It's just on a silver platter for Woodley, man. And at this point, Paul's just throwing bombs. He's just trying to land something, trying to get lucky. Woodley was being a bit tough with his head. He was jumping in with his head a lot. And, if Woodley didn't go backwards every single time Jake Paul threw a punch, then he would have been in a lot better shape. And the thing is, when you go back like that, then you got to go forward again to get back into range, right? That's losing seconds. You're losing time. You're losing opportunities to counter. All of these things come into play. All of these things come into play. Ah, man. And I feel like Woodley was acting like this is a 15-round fight. And he took his sweet ass time. See, that's a big right hand that Paul landed. And Woodley just ate it. He ate that and returned the punch. Look at that. Boom. You see the sweat go flying off his head. And he immediately returns with the punch. So, what do you think a true light heavyweight would do to Jake Paul? I'm going to keep drilling that point home because this is the last time I'm making a video about this. And it doesn't even have to be a professional light heavyweight. Just a decent amateur background, maybe 20, 30 fights in amateur, not professional yet, young like Jake Paul, similar age, 20, well, most 24-year-olds will probably go pro maybe, but I don't know, you get someone who even 21 or 22 years old, light heavyweight coming up in the amateur ranks. I would have a little bit more respect, a little bit more, What's going on in the chat? What's going on here with Stormy and Dave? Sorry, Dave, I didn't see your comment. Dave says they might be laughing at Jake Paul tonight, but he's laughing all the way to the bank. Does that make it okay, though? I mean, I already said that I don't really necessarily have an issue with the whole event per se. It's a bit agitating because they classify it as a boxing match, and it's not a boxing match. But that's not really my issue. My issue is they're trying to sell it like this is okay to make a boxing match between a wannabe boxer. Let's face it, he's a wannabe boxer because he's never fought a boxer, and an MMA fighter. And they're trying to promote it and advertise it as if this is okay. This is the new wave. And call me old school, call me, oh, you don't want to evolve, call me whatever you want to call me, but boxing is boxing. Men with gloves on in a ring with ropes around it where you can only throw punches, that is a boxing match. MMA is either in a cage or an octagon with 4-ounce gloves, or you can even go bare knuckle. I don't care. And there is wrestling, kickboxing, punching, everything. So it's two completely different sports. So no, it's not okay. And no, unless they get rid of boxing and MMA entirely and make a whole new sport, then I can't be accused of accepting the new wave. This is an atrocity to boxing, in my opinion. And I don't think anybody can convince me otherwise. Isaiah says, I believe a boxer from Street Beefs would KO Jake Paul. Facts. Yeah, I've watched Street Beefs. And what's the other one? Street Beefs and something Fight Yard or something like that. I can't remember. Which I think is an extension of Street Beefs. There's some decent fighters on there. I mean, there's a lot of dudes in there that just fight because, they got beef or whatever. And it's a bit of a mess. But it's good. It's good that Street Beefs do that, keep people off the streets from shooting each other and really seriously hurting each other, and you got beef, put on a pair of gloves and box. I love that concept. I really, really do. But you got some guys in there, man, who've been fighting on street beefs for 4, 5, 6 years. Never went professional, never even been amateur, but they've been fighting in Satan's backyard, is what they call it in street beefs. They've been fighting in Satan's backyard for many years, man. Just get one of those guys. I agree with Isaiah. Get one of those dudes who've been fighting in Satan's backyard with a pair of gloves on for the past 5 or 6 years. Get one of them. Throw him in there with Jake Paul. But they won't do that. Why? Because it won't sell. It's all about money. You get Woodley, ex-UFC, future Hall of Famer, that sells. You get Tommy Fury, that might sell because, it's Tyson Fury's brother. They're going to try. I think they're going to push the rematch. That's what I think they're going to do. They're going to push the rematch with Woodley. And on that note, after the fight, right, when Woodley got all upset and was like, "Oh, I thought I won the fight and we got a rematch and this and that," that looks suspect to me because that's not a good look for Woodley to be acting like that. If you think you won the fight, that's your prerogative. You're entitled to that opinion. But to get upset that he got the decision when you didn't do enough to knock him out. If you think it was competitive and you should have got the nod, whatever. Boxers have their opinions all the time at the end of fights, or fighters have their opinions after fights. But you're getting upset for what reason exactly? You didn't do enough. You let him off the hook. And when you go up there and start screaming about a rematch and nobody can sell a pay-per-view like us and da-da-da-da-da, that looks suspect to me. That's why when people say it was staged, not only the fight itself looked a bit staged, the fact that Woodley basically held back. You can make the case that he looked like he was holding back. Now, a lot of people come out and say, "Oh, no, that's how he's been fighting his past 4 fights. He doesn't let his hands go, da-da-da-da, even in MMA." That may be. I can't comment on that because I never watched his fights in MMA. But looking at it from the outside on a boxing perspective, watching boxing fights all of my life pretty much, it looks like he was holding back. I guarantee you, if I sat down with my dad, who's an old school, supporter of boxing, who watched Ali, watched Larry Holmes, watched the 3 kings in the middleweight division, welterweight division with Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler and Tommy Hearns and Duran, all those guys, and my dad sat down and watched that fight, I guarantee you, he has no knowledge of modern day fighters for the most part, other than maybe Pacquiao and Mayweather or something like that. He would tell me flat out, this guy is letting this guy off the hook. This guy's holding back. This doesn't look like a real fight. That's exactly what old school fans of boxing would tell you. Guaranteed. So that part of it was a bit suspect, but I'll give Woodley the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he just didn't know what to do. Maybe he was being conservative. Maybe he was afraid of getting hit with something. Fine. But then at the end of the fight, to come in there and talking about, "Oh, we got to do a rematch, we got to run it back," and da-da-da-da, that then does make it extremely suspect, as if this was planned all along. I don't know if that's true, but I'm saying it looks suspect. That's what I'm saying. Jake Paul could not hurt Woodley at all. He didn't hurt Woodley once. And as we just saw, he was landing flush shots to the face. That's what happens, that small little difference. And Woodley's not even a boxer, but you make that small little difference between a guy who's actually been kicked in the face before, punched in the face before, who came in shape, who's actually an athlete. That small adjustment makes a massive difference. Now imagine if he had boxing skill. See, this is the point I'm trying to make, and hopefully people in the bushes and peeking through the blinds can understand the point that I'm trying to make here. And as always, guys, I get up here and I start ranting and raving, and sometimes I forget about the chat. So if you guys want to highlight something, or you have a question, or you want to counterpunch my thoughts, just drop a super chat, man, and I'll make sure I'll get to you. We're almost at the end of these highlights anyway. This is round 8 now. Landed a good 1-2 there. I gave Woodley this 8th round, by the way. I believe I gave him 4, 5, and 8 is what I gave Woodley. So which means on my scorecard, if the knockdown would have been scored properly, then on my cards it would have been a draw. Right? Because it's a 10-8 round for Woodley in the 4th round. So that's crazy considering the fact that Woodley didn't do near enough, in my opinion, to win the fight, but he still managed on my cards to get a draw if the knockdown was scored properly, which is crazy when I think about it. And people are up here saying, oh, Jake Paul was going to knock out Woodley in the 1st or 2nd round, and he's no different than Askren and any of these other dudes. It's just crazy when you think about it, that a man with pretty much no boxing experience, MMA fighter, is able to go 8 rounds and win at least 3 to 4 of those rounds, seriously hurt Jake Paul. And it's crazy when you think about it. The amount of times that Woodley let him off the hook. So there's channels out here that are saying, hey, like, real talk, if Jake Paul's not careful, and I think he's much more clever than people give him credit for. He knows, man. He knows. Trust me. He's done enough sparring and been around boxers enough. He's probably met, Shannon Briggs, and he's, obviously he was with Amanda Serrano. He's been around boxers who've basically been telling him, like, just stay away from boxers, man. Just keep doing what you're doing. Make your money. Fight these MMA fighters. Fight the celebrities. As long as you can get away with it, shit, make money. That's probably what they're telling him. Because they know. They know and they understand the sport of boxing. And so I don't think Jake Paul will take that risk. But if he does, because maybe pride will get the best of him, maybe ego will get the best of him, and within the next year or so, he decides to go up against an actual boxer, amateur or pro, it don't matter. He's going to get seriously hurt. Like, real talk. Seriously hurt. And do I care about his health? I mean, I'm not a vengeful man. I'm not a hateful man. I don't wish death or injury upon anybody. But I do believe in karma. I do believe in you reap what you sow. I do believe on something called you bite off more than you can chew. And I tell people this all the time throughout my life. People who cross me wrong. I'm always a person, no matter what the discrepancy is or no matter what the situation may be, if somebody crosses me the wrong way, I always talk first. I always give, especially when it's man to man. I always give a man the benefit of the doubt because, maybe I got it wrong. Maybe I've been told the wrong information, even to the extent of, like, I found you cheating on, or I found you messing with my chick, or I heard you took money from me, or you're trying to sabotage my business, real, code of honor type stuff. Even then, I'm a very, you may not believe it because I get very passionate on the microphone and I get crazy sometimes. But believe it or not, because I've dealt with PTSD, I know how to control my emotions, and I'm very calm, cool, and collected in those type of situations. I give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Violence is always the last resort, but sometimes that's the only way people learn, is to get knocked out. And when you come to and you nearly died and you don't know where you're at or what happened, guess what? You get humbled real quick. And sometimes that's what it takes. That's what it takes. And that's what needs to happen to Jake Paul. I hate to say it because, like I said, I don't wish that upon anybody. Somebody who makes honest mistakes, somebody who crossed you the wrong way. And I'm a forgiving person. But when you make a mockery out of it because you can get away with it, and then you get knocked out or seriously hurt, I'm sorry. I can't feel sorry for you. I'm sorry it happened the way that it happened, but I don't feel sorry for you. This is a lesson learned now. Now, hopefully, you can get knocked out and walk away from it and go back to your family. The gods will decide that fate for you. But what I'm saying is, it's getting to that point where this is something that's about to happen because, as I said, Stormy B-Man and Deanna and a lot of others here in the chat tonight, you don't play boxing. And if you know what I'm saying, leave a fire emoji in the chat. You don't play boxing. People get killed. People get seriously injured. This isn't a joke. And real talk, if he does rematch Woodley, that actually might be a big mistake. Because now Woodley knows that he can take your power. He knows that you can't hurt him. You can't teach power. You either got it or you don't. It's just like a chin. You can strengthen your neck. You can try to build up your punch resistance by sparring, but you either have a granite chin or you don't. You born with that. I'm a firm believer in that. Somebody changed my mind. Amir Khan out there doing neck exercises with 45-pound weight plates and shit. And soon as he meets Canelo Alvarez, he goes to sleep. So you born with the chin and you born with power. Tommy Hearns used to spar light heavyweights because he born with power. So Woodley now knows that this kid can't hurt me. Now you're giving me another 6 to 9 months of more boxing training. Jake Paul is about to get seriously injured. And all these fun and games, and it's all a big joke. People are going to regret it. All the promoters, Logan Paul, all of Jake Paul's little fan club, they're going to take a big gulp. And they're going to say, damn. Now, I do believe Jake Paul feels like, hey, he's smart enough to learn from this fight. Don't get me wrong. And if he does rematch Woodley, he's probably going to try to make some adjustments or whatever. But like I said, I don't think he has the power to hurt Woodley. And power in boxing is a difference maker. You don't have to be the most skilled. You don't have to be the most savvy. You don't have to be the most elusive, the best defensive fighter. But if you got power, as Teddy Atlas says, you got that great eraser. So if you're not as skilled as your opponent, at least you got that. And, we're talking about light heavyweights here. We're talking about 180, 185 pounders here. Light heavyweights knock people out. You can get seriously hurt in the light heavyweight division. So going into the rematch, yeah, he might be able to sharpen up his skills a little bit more. He's gonna look at the tape just like Woodley will look at the tape. So really, in my mind, the only way he beats Woodley in a rematch is he's got to outbox him. And more than likely, I think they might push it to a 10-round fight. So not only you got to fix your stamina issues because clearly you were gassing out. So you got to fix that. You got to fix your conditioning. You can't really do anything about your power because that's what God gave you. So you got to increase your boxing ability. Woodley, all he has to do is stay in shape and practice on his head movement, going to the body. He's got the power to hurt Jake Paul. He just got to put a couple punches together, and that's a wrap. So I want people to think about that as I'm going along here in the live stream. Think about that for a moment. You don't play boxing. And maybe this is some grand design here. I don't know. Maybe Woodley is smarter than us all. Maybe Woodley said, "I'm just going to play this out the first fight, I heard him, so I gotta let off the gas a little bit. I don't want to finish him yet. Just want to make it an entertaining fight. We'll get the second fight. I'll get even more money, and then I'll wax his ass. I'm gonna take him out." Maybe Woodley's got it all figured out. Maybe we're up here going crazy for nothing. I don't know. But I'm telling people right now that Jake Paul doesn't have the power to hurt Woodley. And like I said, you can't change that overnight or 6 months' time or whatever it may be. Jake Paul then now has to go into the rematch and outbox Woodley for possibly 10 rounds in the rematch. So, food for thought. Real honest question to the chat. Let me know what you think. And don't be ashamed, don't be shy, just be honest with yourself and tell me what you really think. In the face-off between Woodley and Paul, Woodley actually asked Paul to his face if he's on PEDs or not, because it looked like he was having some acne and he was showing like traits of being kind of aggressive and loud and all that type of stuff. And Woodley asked him like, "Yo, like real talk, are you on PEDs?" Do you guys think he was on PEDs? Because the reason why I asked this is not necessarily because Woodley brought it up. Woodley's been around for a long time, right? He's been around combat sports for 20 years. And he's been around the circles long enough about fighters juicing up or whatever it may be. So maybe he saw something, right? But not only because of that, because Jake Paul said he wasn't feeling right and there was something wrong with his legs. He was, I don't know, it was nerves, dehydration, or maybe he had been cycling off something for a week or so, which then affected something in his body. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. Hoplo Types said Woodley ain't getting no rematch as a pipe dream. You could be right. You could be right. And to be honest with you, if Jake Paul's smart, he won't rematch Woodley. Mark Remington, what's good, man? No sanctioning bodies means they can do anything. Yeah, unfortunately. Curtis Anderson, thanks for the super chat, man. I appreciate you, bro. I don't like sideshows. I'm a purist and a historian. I take boxing very seriously. Thanks for dropping by, man. I appreciate you dropping the super chat and dropping a very passionate comment right there. I feel the same way, Curtis. This is something that I don't joke around about. And, people in the MMA world, they come out and they criticize boxing and say, "Oh, maybe if boxing would get their act together, we would be fans," and stuff like that. Look, there's no real boxing fan in the world who doesn't know that and doesn't understand that us as boxing fans get abused all the time with the politics and the controversies that we have to face and go through as boxing fans. We get it. But like I said, and I'm sure, Curtis, you agree, and many others here in the chat, boxing was here before me, and it's going to be here long after I'm gone. The sweet science is a sweet science. And as much as we get robbed of fights that we don't want to see, and we get disheartened and sad and upset and disappointed about things that happen within the sport, we love the sport and we love the sweet science. We love the idea of what boxing should be. And that passion is what keeps boxing surviving. The passionate supporters like us, who no matter how much we're abused by the sport, we continue to show that love and passion. And we continue to keep the sport alive. Even by a thread, we keep it alive. And when we hear people come out here try to make a mockery of the sport and make us seem like we're crazy when it comes to an MMA / wannabe boxer match, then, we're going to push back. We're going to push back. For real. Fat Neek says there was no drug test. So there you guys go with that. Mark says it was nerves. Okay. Bro, I don't get people who use PEDs. They really think they don't look like they use them. They really think they don't look like they use them. Yeah, man. I don't know if he was or wasn't, man, but I felt like it was a little bit awkward / cringy in a way, I guess. The fact that Woodley brought it up in the face-off, because it's like, dude, this shit's going to be broadcast everywhere. But it's almost like he wanted to make a point, Obviously, Woodley, one thing I'll say about Woodley that I like is he don't have a filter, man. He don't have a filter. I wish he fights the way he talks, though, to be honest with you. And that's no disrespect to him as a fighter, but I'm just saying, like, he talks as if he'll knock everybody out. Like, the way he comes off. He comes off kind of like a Mike Tyson type, guy. He's like, you talk shit, I'll knock you out, type of dude. And obviously he don't care what he was saying. And he won the face-off, in my opinion, the war of words. What did he say in the face-off? He said, I don't care if you get a whole new body at Walmart, you're still going to get slept. Shit like that, man. I like Woodley, man, as far as that's concerned. And obviously he didn't have a filter, and he threw out the PED thing. But I thought it was a little bit cringy because I was like, oh, is that something you really want to bring up in a face-off? But maybe he's smarter than what we give him credit for. Deanna says, Paul is on PEDs. My ex was a professional bodybuilder. Paul went from low-level power to hard hitter to quick, which is crazy, right? But then all those PEDs couldn't stop Woodley. Alex says, it's possible. I don't think the officials took their fight seriously. Yeah. Paul is on every drug they make. Damn. And some made just for him. Damn, Hoplo. You going to do Jake Paul like that? I'd fight anyone shorter, less experienced, retired basketball player for show business. Well, I mean, that's an interesting question. Hey, Divine, if you had an opportunity, with the little boxing experience that you have, I was never a professional, but I know my way around the ring. I said, hey, if you fight this other YouTuber who's never put on a pair of gloves ever, but he wants to fight you, and we'll pay you $1 million. Would I do it? That's a tough question. I don't think I would, man. To be completely honest with you, I don't think I would. Somebody who's never put on gloves before? Nah, I can't do that, man. I just can't do it. I wouldn't be able to live with myself, personally. Sparring? Yeah, sure. Sparring? Yeah, that's fine. But you want me to fight somebody and hurt somebody? You want me to put on a show? I can't. I couldn't do it, man. I couldn't do it. You say, oh, this guy had a little bit of an amateur background or something like that. I haven't been in the ring in probably 7 or 8 years. So I would probably take that. So for me, I got principles, man. That's just me personally. I get the business side of it and everything like that, but everybody's just built different, I guess. Curtis says boxing birthday is January 6th, 1681. Y'all see that? 1681. They're out there on ships in the middle of the ocean boxing, man. Real talk. When all the explorers were traveling on ships around the oceans, stuck out in the middle of the ocean for 6 months, they were having boxing matches right there on the decks, right there on the ship. Real talk. Man. I love me some boxing historians, man. Real talk. I learn something new every day. Jimmy still in the chat says, good to see you back. I've been following you since the old days. Are you still in Asia? The Paul bros have pretty much used up all their steam in boxing. Well, I appreciate you finding me, man, after all these years. I was off YouTube for probably 5 or 6 years. But yeah, I'm back. So I appreciate you coming by, and hopefully you're subscribed and will continue to follow the channel. Yeah, I'm currently in Asia at the moment, stuck out here for the most part because of COVID. Not much I can do about that, but hopefully I'm trying, if it's possible, to make it back for October 9th. That's something I really want to do. Been talking to a lot of guys behind the scenes, and they're trying to hype me up to take the somewhat risk. It is a risk for me to leave here to go there for a boxing match and then try to come back. It's a bit tricky, and it's risky for me, but it's very tempting. I got a lot of people like I said, behind the scenes telling me, "Oh, Divine, you got to make it, man. October 9th is history. It's history in the making." So I don't know, man. We'll see. But if I do make it stateside, or if I do make that final decision, you guys will be the first ones to know. I'll let you guys know where I'm at. I end up going to Vegas, I'll let you guys know I'm there. If you guys end up making it there, then it'd be more than a delight, and more than a pleasure to meet up with you guys and chop it up and have a few drinks or whatever it may be. And I'll let you guys know where I end up. Isaiah said, not to mention the commentators made it clear that the judges were inexperienced. Yeah, they did. They did, actually, quite a few times. T. Showa says, y'all pray for the Hurricane Ida victims. Bless up. Facts. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Sometimes we get a bit distracted with what's going on, in the sport of boxing, a sport that we all love and love to tune in and talk about and whatnot. But let's not forget about what's going on down there in Louisiana, and what else is being hit? Mississippi. And from last thing I heard, the hurricane's moving up north. So hope if you guys are living in that region, hopefully you guys got out safe. Hopefully you are safe. Hopefully you'll be able to protect your homes and your businesses. It's sad to see for me watching, from the outside, living overseas, seeing the stuff that goes on. And a lot of people on that note has asked me to give my thoughts about what's going on in Afghanistan. Most people know that I'm a veteran, and, I went in during a time not too long after September 11th. So I do have very, very, very strong opinions when it comes to that type of topic. I'm considering it. I'm considering on making a video about it. I kind of promised myself when I first came back and I made this channel, Divine Sense Reborn, that I'll keep it boxing. And it is very hard for me not to talk about those type of topics, because outside of boxing, it is something that I take very seriously. And so I'm thinking about doing a video, but only keep it for members of the channel. So if you would like to hear my thoughts about world events, or perhaps social issues or politics or anything that's going on in the world around us, I have a plethora amount of experience, obviously traveling the world and being a veteran and seeing a lot of things. If you guys would like to hear my thoughts on those things, let's say if I get 5 more members to the channel, which I think is a good amount. I think I'm at like 15 right now. So let's say if I get 20 members to the channel, an official member of the channel, I'll make these exclusive videos that will be open and available for channel members only. Because I know a lot of people have hit me up. A couple guys emailed me a couple days ago asking me my thoughts about Afghanistan. I didn't reply. For me, it's just easier to just make a video if that's what I want to do. But if you guys are curious about how to become a channel member, it's really easy, man. You guys see the little thing that says join. You click on that. That'll take you straight there. It's only $2.99 for the supporter pack. If you want even more perks, we got a $10 pack, but that's up to you. And if you're not able to see it, if you guys want, I can drop you guys a link to the chat right here. You can go straight into it, become an official member of the channel, have access to those type of topics. But yes, pray for the people that are affected by Hurricane down there in the South. Give me a shout if you're ever in the UK. I've always wanted to move out in Asia for a while. What are the best parts of Asia? Living for Westerns. I mean, first off, I do have a few friends in the UK. I have a friend that lives in Manchester. I've been wanting to go and visit him for quite a while. So, at some point I might go back there. But from what I heard, what's going on in the UK right now, even in America for that matter, when it comes to, code-id. Try not to say the word because you never know. They try to take down my videos and shit. But what's going on, I try to avoid it, man, to be honest with you. So when things calm down, then UK is on the bucket list. And as far as where to live in Asia, it depends on your taste, man. Depends on, you like big city, you like hustle and bustle. Do you like more rural areas? Do you like more like chill? You like a cheaper place to live? Can you make a lot of money? Because if you can make a lot of money and be in a really cool place with a lot of culture and meet a lot of cool new people from all around the world, and if you're young enough, or I don't know, maybe I shouldn't use the young because I know dudes that still go out and party and go clubbing in their 50s, to be fair. But if you like that type of scene, you like to club, you like to go out and meet people and things like that, then Tokyo is amazing. Tokyo is absolutely amazing. But if you like more of like a chill out, cheaper to live type, you've got, like Thailand's really nice, has its perks. Vietnam is also very nice, cheaper to live and stuff like that. So it just depends. You like big city lights, or you like more like chill. You like beaches. You like to be close to a beach, to go to a beach, go to an island. It just depends. So these are things that like I can make videos about, as well as saying like if you become an official member of the channel, I have no problem dropping those type of videos. So I think we watched enough of that fight. We broke it down. I've ripped that match apart as much as I possibly can, and I don't think that I can manage to do it anymore. So I think I made my point clear, man, on why you don't make a boxing match, or why you don't make a boxing match and MMA match and combine it as one. It's just my personal opinion, and I gave out plenty of reasons why. We dissected the fight a bit. It's a highlight video. If you guys came in late, this will be uploaded. You can go back and listen to all the points that I made on why I don't agree putting a boxer in there with an MMA fighter in general. And of course, I am going to be a little bit biased because, I'm a boxing fan. So, and I have no problem admitting that at all. But I think there's more than good enough reasons on why I feel that way. And like I said, I put it in this video tonight. And I appreciate everybody who joined and became a part of the conversation tonight. I let out a lot of frustration. This will be my last time talking about Jake Paul and this whole fiasco / shenanigans. I'm over it. And I just have so much other quality to drop. And I have a lot more quality to drop here in the near future, like actual boxing matches. And what I'll do now is, this is the link to become an official member of the channel. Up to you guys if you guys want to join, if you guys really want to listen to my thoughts, as I said, to world events and things like that, and share my experiences. I just feel more comfortable doing it exclusive. And it's not about money or anything like that. But for me, it's just a matter of like, I want to make sure that the people that become a member are people that really want to listen to it. I just don't want to put it out in the public and distort the conversation that I want to put out there, which is boxing. I did that in the past, and it just gets muddled sometimes, and it just makes it difficult for me to conduct my channel. This is a boxing channel, And yes, I do have a lot of experiences. So for $2.99, you guys can get access to it. And that lets me know that you guys are really interested to hear my thoughts. And it gives me motivation to actually upload my thoughts and videos about those particular topics. So yeah, that's that. I appreciate you guys. As I said, I'll let you guys. I know it's starting to get late out there where you guys, especially on the East Coast. I know it's getting late out there. So now I think it's time we can finally put this whole Jake Paul thing to rest. I'm not going to give it any more energy. I've expended all of my energy. Like I said, I'm totally over it. I'm done with it. And we can move on to real boxing matches. I still have Joshua and Usyk on deck. Sorry. Here's my little notepad. I got all my notes ready. I'm about to drop a video. I was going to do it tonight, so we'll probably have to wait though. And maybe I'll drop it maybe tomorrow morning. And you guys can wake up and listen to my thoughts and prediction of the Joshua versus Usyk fight. I know a lot of people are waiting patiently for my thoughts on that. So that's what's coming up next. And according to the schedule, I believe I'll be back here live on Wednesday. So thanks so much, guys. I'm going to go ahead and roll up out of here. Hope you guys have already hit that like button. Every like makes a big difference, believe it or not. And I'll catch you guys on the next live stream. Stay tuned for my prediction video of Joshua and Usyk. Until then, I'll see you guys on the next one. Be good, be safe, be strong. Peace.